September is self-improvement month as we wind it down, but there's still always time to encourage everyone to make a conscious effort to better ourselves. To talk about that more, author and educator Doug Haddad back with us. Teacher by day, motivator by night, or actually I should say that's 24 hours a day, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah, which is a good thing, because we were talking during the commercial break that it's something that, especially with teenagers, they don't get enough of. And this is really something that will, once we plant that seed, it really stays with kids for the rest of their lives, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it really starts with self-awareness and really having an honest evaluation of your strengths, weaknesses, values, strengths, and really your current state of affairs. And what I highly recommend is actually you start off with introspective activities. Journal your thoughts down. Have mindfulness practices you engage in. And one big thing is set a gratitude list. As soon as you wake up in the morning, have your top 10 list.
We had another guest on a few weeks ago, Samantha Peters, talking about journaling, and just, and listen, if you can get one of either her journals or any of the other journals, it's basic questions at the top. What am I grateful for, or what do I want to work on? And you find yourself, as you write more and more, you start to assess, and that's the key to self-awareness.
That is the key, because now all of a sudden you put yourself in a higher state of vibration and you start attracting more of what you're grateful for, and then it says, here's what I need to improve on, which leads towards setting goals.
And that leads to step number 2, and that is goal setting. And that I think that's a tough thing to do, at least from an adult perspective. I don't know, I haven't been a teenager in years, but goals tend to be, are they lofty or are they not lofty enough?
Well, the key thing is setting the right kind of goals. And I teach kids and families how to set SMART goals, and that's an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And that should align with your actual objective and your vision, which is aligned with your values. And if you break it down, Matt, into you have this big goal, I tell kids, like if they say, oh, I want to be a sports athlete. Well, how do you go about do that in actionable steps, monthly, weekly, daily? And how do you have an accountability partner who you can regularly review progress, adjust goals, and help motivate you throughout the process?
And remember, it's okay to adjust them, because if you are, if you're doing that sort of resolution thing, and this goes for everyone, and you start and you realize, okay, you know what, this is a little too ambitious, you can dial it back. There's no shame in that at all. We'll talk about the third thing, which I think is important enough that I teach it in my class, and that's taking the third step, which is continuous learning. And that's taking everything you've done with the assessment and the goals and putting it to work.
That's right. And self-improvement is really about a commitment to that continuous learning and action. And that looks like the books you read, the courses you take, seminars, workshops, if you could have a mentor. And it's not just about the knowledge you accumulate, Matt, it's also about regular application of that and realizing that there's going to be challenges and embracing those challenges, not trying to avoid them. It's kind of like going to Disney World and saying, it's going to cost you X number of dollars for this. So there's a price to be paid, and that's part of the process. Ultimately, it's about cultivating discipline, which comes down to 2 things. It's consistency and perseverance through it all. And ultimately, that helps you gain momentum that you need to build that self-confidence, to say to yourself, these little successes are working.
You brought up self-confidence, self-awareness. All this leads to the one thing that I've learned teenagers are very well familiar with, and that's self-esteem. And if you could build these now, figuring out what your worth is and what your assessment is, self-esteem is how you put the value on it. And so that's you can go forward, at least on the righter step.
That's what it's all about, building that self-confidence. And each time you do that, you build little successes, and that's the accumulation factor towards self-improvement.
It's like a snowball, isn't it?
Yes.
Doug Haddad is always full of good advice. We'll have all of this and more on our website at fox61.com. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll see you back
pleasure.
here, because again, it's never one lesson and done, especially when it comes to this stuff. Rachel Piscatelli, you and I and Tim know that, when it comes down to self-esteem, it's not something you just kind of, turn on. It takes these steps. Well, once you have it, it's tough to lose it. So this is some good stuff here.
Sure, definitely a work in progress, right?
That's said like somebody who's never golfed before, because it will destroy your self-confidence in 5 seconds. Whatever. That's
I've never
neither here nor
golfed
there.
before.